controversy about EPA range for Tesla and reality distortion field. Elon Musk thinks ahead. Elon Musk is willing to risk his own customers for his reality distortion field. This is Steve Jobs in action here. This is the Not Even Wrong podcast. It's March 27, 2021. This is Delco. It's a Saturday. There's no update. So for the year, we are down 11.9%. The market's up 5%. We're underperforming by roughly 17%. I want to discuss two topics that were going around this week, maybe to some extent are also waiting on the stock of Tesla. One is the Edmunds EP range tests. They brought up controversy, and I think it's an interesting discussion to have about ranges and what that means and all that. And then second, I want to talk about the reality distortion field. What that really means is the following. Elon Musk, in his head, already has made up his mind that we are not going to drive cars anymore. The Tesla of the future is going to drive itself. This is a goal that he has. This is also a commercial strategy, of course. This, to some extent, justifies the high valuation of Tesla. It requires software engineers at Tesla to deliver. It requires also customers to adapt. I want to discuss this, and let me start with this, and then I'm going to talk about the Edmunds ratings test. So, reality distortion field, famously introduced by Steve Jobs in his biography, and what it means is something that Silicon Valley actually is full of, and it's almost a definition of an entrepreneur in Silicon Valley style. It's he or she has to have a reality distortion field, otherwise any venture capitalist worth his salt will not invest. So what it means is it's a very fine line between illusion, naivete, vision, execution, genius. It's a fine line. It's a high rope dance, but it really means that, look, I see a future that nobody else is seeing. I know something nobody else knows. I'm going to do it. I'm going to find people that back me, and I'm going to execute against a vision that nobody else believes in. This is what it means in plain English. In more detail, it entails the application of fundamentally new concepts and engineering practices to have an impact on something that most people just don't see. They don't see it not because they're dumb, of course, but it's because in order to understand the outcome of something, you need to understand the fundamental principles behind it. And if the fundamental principles behind it are such that the person which is implying them can actually see the line from here to there, well, then it's not that much of a reality distortion field anymore. Then it's just a vision or a goal even. So the difference between reality distortion field and goal is not necessarily, it's in the eye of the beholder. For the person that is uttering those goals, it's just a goal. That's it. I have a certain technology. I know what I can do with that technology, and this is the result. We're not going to drive cars. The cars are going to drive themselves. For most other people, because they don't see the underlying principles, they don't make the effort, they don't know, they don't care, whatever. They just see what's today, and they see the goal, and they're like, well, there's a discrepancy between where we are today and where we're going to be. So it's very interesting. So Elon Musk, in his latest tweets and presentations, is talking about the Model S Plaid, basically the Model S Plaid being a car that is going to not have any shift gears at all. So no R, no D, no nothing. The car will know whatever needs to be done. This, for most people, is crazy. Why would you even do that? Like, I've heard that question several times. Why are you doing it? Like, customers like that shift gear. Let's leave it. Why are you doing it? Well, Musk, of course, is going, he wants people, he said that on the Joe Rogan podcast, every time a customer intervenes, it's a bad thing because there could be an error. I don't want people to intervene. So he's, on the one hand, forcing customers to start getting used to not intervening. And on the other hand, he's also forcing his engineers to deliver against a very, very high goal. Now, this could be delusionary. This could be crazy. because what you need to have is some underlying principle. You need to have some underlying concept, some underlying technology. You have to have something, an instantiation of some sort of concept that can be transferred into technology, into actual solutions. If you just dream about something, then it's not going to work. And I mean, Jobs famously had ads in the 80s where he spoke about something which today would be some sort of Siri assistant, and in the 80s that was too early, so he didn't have the fundamentally new concept, the technology to deliver against that, so he was delusionary. Well, in the end, he obviously delivered. Apple is the largest company in the world, and the rubber actually met the road, and we had the iPhone and all that. So back to Elon Musk. So Elon Musk, by forcing people not to use the shift gear in the new Model S and probably in all the other cars, is really doing two things. He's educating customers, and he's educating his own engineering workforce to deliver against the goal of no intervention. This is, and the reality distortion field is really again, it's in the eye of the beholder. For Musk, it's clear, it's just a goal, and for some people in his ranks, it's probably something between a goal and a reality distortion field, and for most people outside, it's still a reality distortion field. It's, by the way, the same thing with SpaceX. In Eric Berger's book, there's a scene where Gwyneth Shotwell says, well, she didn't believe in Mars. She thought this is just whatever. It doesn't matter, because it wasn't her job. Her job was to sell SpaceX, and she was able to do that. But then later on, she said, I'm now on board. So it takes time. It takes time to, in the beginning, nobody, and this is from Eric Berger, the conversation I had with him, nobody believed in the Mars mission other than Elon Musk. But slowly but surely, people are converted. And this is the magic thing that Elon Musk is able to do. And other leaders, by the way, also. They can convince people that in the end, they can deliver against something they don't even believe in themselves at this moment. This is the amazing thing. It's really, I can't emphasize enough. It's convince people to jump over their own shadow. I don't want to just, this is not just Elon Musk. Maybe even Herbert Diess at Volkswagen will be able to do that with Volkswagen. It's not impossible. Maybe James Farley from Ford can do it. Maybe, I don't know, the guy that runs NIO. I mean, people, leaders, Silicon Valley leaders, the ones that really matter, the ones that generate the wealth, the big ones, not even the unicorns, but the ones that really matter, the ones that make money because they are able to apply fundamentally new concepts and engineering practices, and they're able to walk that tightrope between goals and reality distortion field. Those are the ones that matter. Those are the real entrepreneurs. This is Ben Horowitz in one of his latest discussions he had about his own book about culture and things like that. And he was asked about something along those lines. He said, well, what about people that sort of distort reality, and are they lying? How should we think about them? He said, no, that's an innovator. And it's not lying. Of course it's not lying. For them, for Musk, he's not lying when he says, I don't want people to drive. It's a goal. It's probably, or maybe it's not even a goal. Maybe he's so convinced of it that it's just a matter of execution at this point. It's not even a goal anymore. It's just, we just have to do it. And yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. These are the things we need to do, and keep it, because we have the iterate and debug culture. It doesn't even matter. It's kind of like Silvio Micali says, it's a zero knowledge proof. I mean, he doesn't say that. I interpret zero knowledge proof, which is a concept in mathematics where you don't really know what you're proving, but by playing a game, by iterating, you make sure that whatever you're trying to prove is true, because the game yields the same result, or yields an expected result that fundamentally makes you believe that whatever you're trying to prove is true. So you don't have to really make all the effort to understand every line of the proof and be thorough about it. You can just say it's true. So in my view, this is kind of how science works. This is how the entrepreneur of the 21st century works. It's a zero knowledge proof, or a zero knowledge progress, where you don't really care what the underlying physics, the underlying atom configuration is, or whatever the first principles approach should be. It is, look, how much do we need to know to get started? And then let's iterate, and let's build a culture around adaptation, flexibility, and knowledge generation. I'm not saying zero knowledge proof is maybe the wrong word here, because of course you're gathering knowledge through iteration, but you don't need to know the underlying dynamics. You don't need to know a priori what's going to happen. This is the key. You don't need to know a priori how you're going to get to the end goal. You will just need to know how to start. So this is exactly how AI works. And in that way, we're really in this culture of software 2.0, where we're building algorithms where the data is the software, the algorithm is the compiler, and then we make the prediction, or in the case of engineering, we make the actual product. This is the way I see the reality distortion field. You have to start somewhere. You have to have a certain goal, of course. The goal is, let's say, the car doesn't drive itself, the person doesn't drive, the car drives itself, end of story. And now how do we get there? Let's get the data, let's tweak the algorithms, let's keep iterating until it happens. Continuous integration, another software model that is very, very popular, particularly in the Elon Musk companies. So to summarize this part of the episode, reality distortion field is beautifully visible in Elon Musk's companies. Going to Mars is one of them, and the car not driving itself. I keep saying that. The car driving itself, or in other words, the person not driving. This is, for Elon Musk, this is the reality. There is no question that he wants to get there. He is willing to risk his own customers. He's willing to iterate around, let's say in the Model S Plaid, he's not letting people shift gears anymore. There's no R, D, and it's the car deciding. So this is, of course, a small step, but it's a massive step towards autonomy. And autonomy is the core of Tesla's business. This is Andrej Karpathy this week in the Peter Abil podcast. It's part of the core. This is not some add-on. This is not some feature that you can buy. It is the core which will transform Tesla into an AI company. It's already that way, but of course people don't see it that way. The second topic I wanted to discuss today is the Edmunds range test. It's something that has been bothering me for a while. And here's what the situation is. Basically, people advertise ranges, and some people say, my range is 300 miles, the other people say it's 320, others 280, etc., etc. What Edmunds did, they tested it, and they found out that sometimes that range is actually achievable, and sometimes it's not. And what happened is, in particular with Tesla, the range typically is not achievable. So the conclusion is Tesla is lying about it. Then Tesla reached out to Edmunds, said, listen, the way we work is we have the range, but we cap it through software. So when you drive, let's say you have 10 miles left, but we say you have 0 miles left. And that's it. So then the discussion here is, well, that's not right. They should give us the range that is actually drivable. What this turns into is basically we're talking around the bush here, because there is no definition, there's no law, there's no standard of how we should actually talk about ranges. So everybody's kind of doing it themselves in their own way. And Tesla, as a pioneer, has been very aggressive because they had to overcome range anxiety. So what they did is then they said, look, it doesn't matter. The range is the range. We're going to put a number there that makes people feel comfortable. It might not be achievable because it's not just what they put. It's also the way you drive. It's the way you, are you using the air conditioner, the heater? I mean, all these things. This is, by the way, the same thing with gasoline cars. And the goal that Tesla has, of course, it's not stated, but that's my conjecture, is that we get to the point, like with gasoline cars, where we don't really care anymore about it. Look, who cares about the range of a BMW? It's going to be what it is, because I know I can go and fill up anytime I need, anywhere I want, almost anywhere in the world, so it's not a big deal. And this is the goal that Tesla has, and this is my conclusion about this whole conversation. The way we should advertise range is not, oh, we have 320 miles. The way Tesla should talk is, look, you can go from A to B in X hours, including charging. Because this is really what the reality looks like. The reality of driving around in a road trip, and we've done plenty of road trips now here around California, is you go from San Francisco to Palm Springs. What you really care about is, where am I going to stop for charging? How am I going to get there? What's the detour? What's the time needed to go to the next charge? How much time am I going to spend charging? All these things. And by the way, they're all answered. Tesla answers all these questions. And that's really the power of Tesla. Tesla has not just a battery. Tesla has a charging network and a software and a preconditioning of the battery, and all these little details that add up to the actual job that needs to get done, which is I need to go from A to B. How am I going to get there? What are the parameters? This is the end goal here. And once that is achieved, we will be in a state where we just don't care about range anymore, because nobody buys a car because of the range. The same way nobody buys an iPhone because it has storage capacity. You buy an iPhone because you want to do certain things. I want to store a video with 2 gigabits on my iPhone because that's roughly what I need to record a soccer game for my son. And I'm the cameraman in his team. That's it. So can I do it or not? I don't care about the gigabits. I don't care any of that stuff. What is the optimization? Those are the questions I have. And that's the way I would look at this. And to end this conversation, I think Edmunds, unfortunately, is not let's call it, not a trustworthy party here. I feel like they are in bad with the legacy car industry. And maybe this is a strategy, maybe it's coincidence, maybe the car industry on purpose is a little bit more conservative, and then they use Edmunds to bring this out, and they try to portray Tesla as a cheat and things like that. Maybe that's what's happening. Maybe Tesla is just, again, doing a little bit more aggression than other companies, and they're just more aggressive, and that's it, end of story. But in the end, the real answer to all this conversation, in my view, is simply, listen, I just need to go from A to B. This is my goal. I don't really care about the miles, the lithium ions, none of that stuff. It's all the same to me as long as I get from A to B. Tell me how I can do that. And Tesla has all the pieces in place. That's the reality of a Tesla driver is when I go from San Francisco to Palm Springs or to Eugene, Oregon, it will tell me, here's where you need to charge, here's how much time you need. This is it. There's nothing else. There's no need to think about, well, how many ions do I have in, or any of that stuff. No details, no technical detail. So to summarize the Edmunds discussion, it's an unfortunate situation. I think I just don't trust the Edmunds network because it's a legacy kind of automaker type publication. So unfortunately, the trust here is not very good. I think Tesla has used a certain marketing tactic that is being questioned, which is fine. I think in the end, the customer will choose with their feet. They will go with Tesla for many reasons, and not because the Model Y is 325 miles. I didn't even know what the range is in my Model Y. I don't care. All I care is I'm going from San Francisco to Reno. Where do I have to stop to charge? This is a good example. You're going from San Francisco to Reno. It's 200 miles. There's no way you can do this in one charge. Guess what? There's a Sierra Nevada in between. So how do you capture that? And then on the way back, you can easily get it in one charge because you go downhill. So it's really not it makes no sense to even think in those terms. I think it was a good start. It was an early start for Tesla. They were the pioneer. They had to do it. I think we will transition now to a more fluid definition of, okay, my car gets me from A to B in this amount of time. Am I happy with that or not? Thank you.